Continuing reading from the diary, 30th July, Friday. It was one of those fine days. Bhagwan came here from Prashanti Nilayam. He said, at 1 p.m. and reached Brindavan at 3:35 p.m. It had taken him just 2.5 hours to come at a time when it used to take 5 hours for us to go from Patti to here or here to Patti. In the evening around 5:30, we all assembled in the bungalow and the warden gave a wonderful speech. One of the students also spoke after that, and then we had bhajan. The Blitz, which is quite a well-known tabloid, has come out with an article on Swami. It gives a beautiful and realistic picture of an interview. The author of this is Karanjia, R.K. Karanjia as he was known, and he himself was a Marxist. In fact, I thought I'll read a little bit of this because this came out in the form of a book. A person who was a skeptic, who did not believe Swami, he comes to Puttaparthi, and then this is what he has to say. He says, Puttaparthi, the obscure tiny village set in a narrow farming valley in India's southern state of Andhra Pradesh, is fast emerging as the world's largest pilgrimage center. Millions of seekers of truth from all corners of the globe pour into this small stone and thatched village nestling in the brown-capped hills to pay obeisance to the incredible Sathya Sai Baba. So, right in the introduction, he says, incredible Sai Baba. Judging by his ever-increasing following, Sai Baba has apparently been accepted by millions as a cosmic phenomenon. See, the acceptance is not limited to a small locality or a district or a state or a nation. He talks of Swami as a cosmic phenomena. Never before in the recorded history of mankind has any divine personage been adored and revered by the multitudes during the course of his lifetime as Sai Baba is today. See, today we know of Rama, Krishna, Jesus Christ, Zoroaster, and other incarnations of divinity. But today we know we are able to revere them, worship them, adore them much after they lived on earth. And here in this scientific age, when everything it is put to test, we have Swami being accepted by millions of people in his very own lifetime. His proliferating tribe of devotees, estimated at over 80 million, remember this is in 1976, is spread over 130 countries of the world and periodically assemble in over 5,000 Sai centers, which were there at that time, to reaffirm their faith in his divinity and seek light on the path to self-realization. So this is what he says. Now, why did R.K. Karanjia go to Puttaparthi? This is a very interesting question. Millions in India and abroad are willing to accept Sai Baba's word that he is God, for the simple reason that there is not and cannot be any possible test barring faith for such a phenomenon. When you want to accept someone as God, you cannot test it the principle in a test tube, like you can do other hypotheses. When someone says he is God, you accept it on the basis of faith. They are like the multitudes who for similar reasons accepted the God word of Christ, Zoroaster, Muhammad, Rama, Krishna and Buddha. After all, We are expecting that Sai Baba should undergo a test, but what about the earlier incarnations whom millions accept? Others reject it or maintain a dignified neutrality in relation to a phenomenon they cannot understand. This basic acceptance of our ability to comprehend only to a certain extent. We cannot comprehend everything there is in the world. After all, each one of us is vastly ignorant of many things. A person can be an Einstein in science, but it does not mean that he is the know-all of everything that exists in the universe. He might be good in a particular chosen field. And to comprehend someone who is your creator requires much more than just ordinary knowledge or information or fact. It requires wisdom and the ability to comprehend something which is beyond you. After all, God is holding you in the palm of His hand. For something being held in the palm, to understand the palm itself is very difficult. And God is vastly more than just the palm. The detractors of Baba, in fact, in those days there were quite a few detractors of Swami, tried to play on the gullibility of the skeptics. Skeptics think that they are very smart, they can understand everything. And that is why they say, oh, there is no God. But the problem is, even they are gullible. What are the type of questions they ask? The questions that they ask are, what is the need for God to take a human form? What is the need for God to take a human form? I remember in one of the summer course discourses, one professor said, God created man, and then man behaved so stupidly that God disappeared, became invisible. So now God has to come back on the scene and teach us the basic steps of how we should live. And so their question, what is the need for God to take form? Why the triple incarnation of Shirdi, Sathya Sai and Prema Sai? Why did this task have to be divided into 3 phases? It is mind-boggling to understand the kind of problems that we are now steeped in, or I should say wallowing in. We have so much of problems, and to solve this, even God has to take 3 avatars, because we have drowned ourselves so thoroughly that it takes Him enormous patience to bring us out of this. And the beauty is, God does not do it in a trice. He takes the trouble of coming down and living a complete life amidst us, and then teaching us how to live. Someone once asked Swami this question, Swami, does God have to come down to set the world in order? Can He not just will? Sitting in the heaven, can He not just will, may all this adharma disappear, may dharma flourish? Is it not enough? And Swami said, yeah, it's definitely easy. But then how will you get the joy of interaction? How will the devotees get the joy of this interaction with God? It's only when God takes a form and comes down to your level. The avatar is like an aeroplane. If the aeroplane is all the time flying in the sky, you never get to know who is the pilot. But when the plane lands, you get a chance to meet the pilot. And if you have the eligibility in terms of the boarding pass, which is the faith, then you get to come face to face with Him, discuss with Him, talk to Him, and even board the aeroplane. So the purpose of the avatar is to establish the existence of a creator and to show the real nature of that creator. See, God as a creator is not only all knowledge, all omnipresence, all omniscience, all omnipotence, is all compassion. And how will you ever be able to understand His compassion unless you experience it with all your being? For instance, if someone has gone to Himalayas and come back, and you ask him, how does the Himalayas look? Can he show you a small pebble and say, imagine billions of these pebbles put together. Himalayas is like that. Or someone has gone, let's say, to the Indian Ocean and come back, and he's trying to describe to you the vastness of the Indian Ocean, can he just show you a bucket of water and say that, imagine the contents of this bucket a billion-fold, and that is the Indian Ocean. To describe God is a very difficult thing. It is like a dumb person trying to explain the sweetness of a Mysore pak he has eaten, which is very difficult. He's enjoying the joy of eating it, but to express it becomes very difficult. But unless he eats the Mysore pak, how will he know the sweetness? I remember one occasion when one elderly gentleman, was a very well-known professor, said, "Swami, I'm not able to understand you at all." Swami said, "I'm not surprised. But why do you want to understand me? Enjoy, experience me and enjoy." He said, "Swami, you're so vast. How do I experience you? How do I enjoy the bliss?" Then Swami said, "To know the nature of the ocean or the taste of the ocean, it's not necessary to drink the entire ocean. Take a drop of water from the ocean and put it on your tongue. You will know what is the saltiness of the ocean." Similarly, to when you get an experience of Swami's divinity, you get a sense of what God is, what compassion of God is. So, what made Sathya Sai Baba so sure that he was Shirdi Baba incarnated? These are the kind of questions that people ask. What is the need for him to demonstrate miracles like creating vibhuti and other trinkets? Okay. Now, like any magician can conjure, the question that we have to ask ourselves is, just by looking at an act, you cannot judge. Just because a magician does the same thing, does any magician, for instance, hand over to you the objects that he creates? Okay. The magician will never give anything to you. He is all the time waiting to collect the fee, admission fee, for seeing you do what he does. But here is Swami, who is always giving. This nature of giving comes only from God. Sacrifice. Tyage naike amritattvamanashu. That is what Swami reminds us. We will continue this in the next session. Sai Ram.